Hey, I'm Vicky and today I'm going to be giving my honest thoughts on Howdens kitchens, how I found the process of ordering, getting a new kitchen in our house, and what we think of the overall result. So first of all, how does it actually work? So Howdens is a supplier. They do not supply and fit. They're a supplier only and they sell direct to trade. But it's a little bit more complicated than that because the way I did it was I was literally just a walk-in at Howdens, made an appointment with a designer. They have this free design process where they go through what you want. They come into your house, they do all the measurements, they take down all the details, then they do up a design. You can change the colors, you can change the type of doors, you can have handleless doors, doors with handles, all kinds of different handles, different kinds of sinks, different kinds of ovens that you can get put in. So you can get like really right down to the finer details, including appliances with Howdens. But what they won't do once you've finished, signed off the design, is fit it. So this is where you kind of need to become a bit of a project manager in a sense. So, I mean, you could get a kitchen fitting company that will, you know, be doing all the joined up thinking for you. That's not the process we ended up doing. We ended up having a kitchen fitter who sort of oversaw the project to a degree, but ultimately really it was down to us to make sure that we had the right people in place at the right time. So I think that's something to just maybe bear in mind when going about getting your kitchen ordered, that Howdens is not an all-in-one service. They will design the kitchen for you, they will sell you the kitchen, but they won't fit it. So Howdens can pass you contact details for fitters, but they can't recommend a fitter to you. So they can give you a few business cards, but they can't specifically say this is the person that you want to use. So I really recommend getting out there. Word of mouth is so important. If you're a member of local Facebook groups, ask in there, like, good kitchen fitters. Don't just go with someone who says, hey, my cousin fits kitchens, because it's much more valuable to have, you know, the recommendation, a genuine recommendation from someone who says this person did my kitchen, and go with someone who you don't just get one recommendation for, but there are multiple people recommending that person. Make sure you check out their reviews online, make sure you look at pictures, examples of their work, meet them face to face, obviously have a chat and see if you get a sense that they understand, like, you know, the plan, the design that you've put together. That's just like so important that you can feel that you have confidence in the fitter. The fitter really is key. After you've made all your big decisions about what kind of things you want in your kitchen, your fitter is really the person that's going to bring it all together, and it can either go really wrong or be exactly how you wanted it to be. So it's really worth taking a bit of time, looking at them, researching them, getting good recommendations. 100% I would totally recommend that you put a lot of thought into who comes into the house to actually fit the kitchen. So the order of the process may change then. So it may be that you actually find a kitchen fitter first, someone in your area who specialises in fitting kitchens, and then they sort of recommend that you order the kitchen from Howdens, and then you go about getting the design done. How we did it was we approached Howdens, they designed a kitchen, then we found a fitter, Howdens delivered the kitchen, and then it was all down to the fitter to get it put in place. There are certain things in this kitchen which Howdens didn't supply, and that was either through choice, from my point of view, or because they didn't do it. So for example, tiles, they don't supply tiles, they do supply splashbacks, like say quartz splashbacks, but we bought the tiles from somewhere else and had to have a tiler come in to do it. So again, with Howdens, it may be a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. It's not an all-in-one service. It may be that you have to get out there and find different types of specialists, different types of tradesmen to bring together what it is that you want to do. So when looking at the before images of our kitchen, as you can see, we've very much gone from dark to light here. When you look at the images of our kitchen, what it looked like before, you can see that the oven has stayed the same. This was the oven that was here when we bought the house. I love this oven. It's brilliant. It's a range master. Really does the job. I love it. So I knew that I didn't want to replace it, and I didn't need to replace it. Howdens do appliances, they do ovens, they do sinks, they do dishwashers, they do fridge freezers, so you can purchase appliances from there. A lot of people may choose to go with a big brand instead of the you know, Howdens own brand Lamona. They may sort of go with a Bosch, say, dishwasher, which is actually ultimately what we did. We switched out our freestanding dishwasher for an integrated dishwasher, which we ordered from AO.com. It's a Bosch dishwasher. It's a brand that I know. It's a brand that I really, really rely on. But there are actually deals to be made with Howdens' own Lamona products, and we're going to get into costing and haggling a little bit in a minute. But yeah, with the Lamona own stuff, the good thing about it is that you can make quite big savings. If you say do need to buy an oven, a dishwasher and a fridge freezer, you may be able to get some kind of deal on Howdens stuff there. And that brings me on to a really, really important point, and possibly even the most important thing that you need to consider, and that's cost and budget. How much do Howdens kitchens cost? I can tell you exactly how much our kitchens cost in a minute, but let me just give you a quick guide on how Howdens actually works when it comes to costing. So you won't find the price of Howdens kitchens on their website. You won't find the cost of individual items on their website. You can browse the stuff that they sell on their website, but you can't find the individual costings for, say, you know, like what does this particular type of door cost? What does this particular cabinet cost? What does this particular oven cost? You can't find it broken down by that. So how then do you get the costing? So I'll just talk you through the process that we followed. So we contacted Howdens. Howdens came to our house, took measurements, had a look, had a chat with me about what it was that I wanted, what I wanted to change, what I didn't want to change. And then they created a design, and I'm gonna show you, and this is pretty much like the first design that we had, and it's basically spot on for what we've ended up with. So they'll produce for you a design like this. And what you can do after your home visit then is go into the Howdens office, whatever local branch is for you, and sit down and change things that you may want. So you may have had a change of heart about colour. You may have decided to go from handle cabinets to handleless cabinets, that kind of thing. If you're looking to save money, you may want to change to a different type of cupboard doors, for example. That's one way that you can save money. So you can look at the design on screen, and the Howdens designer with us went through everything that we had asked for and made little changes. We had minor tweaks to the layout, but on the whole, this is basically what was designed is what has gone in, because we weren't doing a major change to our kitchen. Obviously there's a wall here that is very much ripe for taking down to create a huge open plan kitchen diner. That just wasn't in the budget for us. That's the reason why we didn't do that. I think it would have been lovely. And actually on our estate, there are houses, all the houses are basically the same on our street in terms of layout, and we have neighbours who have taken the wall down, and it does look fabulous, and they've moved the kitchen to the other side of the room, and they've put in breakfast bars. It's lovely. It just wasn't within the budget. I wanted a kitchen refresh. I knew that I wanted to add in a bit more storage space, which we were able to do by adding a cabinet in just on the end to the right of the dishwasher. But yeah, the actual removing of a wall, it was just a step too far for us at this stage. So, you know, I think that's one important thing when you are setting your budget is like how far do you want to go, like how big are you thinking? Obviously any kind of structural changes, you're going to need to consider the fact that that's going to factor in a lot with your budget. Howdens aren't going to price you up for structural changes because, as I said, they don't fit. So this is where you need to get a builder in to be costing that up for you. So once we'd gone through those designs, finalised it, picked which cabinets we wanted, which handles we wanted, what surface we wanted, all that kind of stuff, that's when we had a quote sent over to us. So the initial quote was kind of within the region of what I was expecting, but it was a little bit more than I wanted to pay. One of the reasons why it was more was that Howdens offered to sell us a rigid kitchen. So this is another thing that's really important to consider, rigid versus flat pack. So with rigid, the cabinets come ready made. They've been made in the factory, they've been kind of pushed together by a big machine. Flat pack is, as the name would suggest, the cabinets all come not made, your builder will need to make them. Now, the flat pack kitchen is cheaper than the rigid kitchen from Howdens, but you'll need to obviously pay your builder for their time to build those cabinets. And generally, what I have found is the flat pack did work out cheaper. So once we switched from rigid to flat pack, that saved a bit of money. And then also we just sort of asked, well, look, is there anything you can do on this price? Because we would like it to come down a bit. And one thing that I did do is I went to a leading competitor, I went to Magnet Kitchens, and because I wanted to consider all options, I didn't just want to go with just one quote. I went to Magnet, basically got a very similar design. I knew what I wanted, costed that up. So Magnet came in, for just the kitchen this doesn't include fitting, for a flat pack kitchen, £6,426.92. And that includes the surface as well as the cabinets, does not include splashback tiles, anything like that, and obviously doesn't include fitting. The Magnet own fitting price was, so Magnet will price you up for fitting. Magnet does have a fitting service. I was gobsmacked at how expensive it was. It was not competitive. I think it was over £5,000 to do the fit, and that didn't include tiling. And I just felt, whoa, like that is a lot. Obviously you've got the benefit in that you can go back to Magnet if there are any problems. It's a big company, you know that there's an element there that they'll be contactable, they'll be held accountable if there are any problems, but it was just a little bit too much for me. Now with Magnet, you can order the kitchen from them, go out and find your own fitter, or you can use the Magnet own fitting service. So, you know, it really comes down to a lot of like choice. You know, do you prefer the Magnet kitchens? Do you like the fact that they have a fitting service so you can just deal with Magnet on that? The fitters aren't employed by Magnet, they just sort of work with them on kind of like a freelance contractual basis. So that's just something to think about. Anyway, so what did Howdens initially quote me? So the initial quote from Howdens for a quartz worktop and for all the cabinets, the doors, everything like that, the first quote I got was £7,703.59. And I just felt, oh, that's gonna get way out of our budget. So we went back to them, we had a chat, what can you do? We switched from rigid to flat pack, had a little chat about any deals that they could do for us. And in the end, they gave us a price of £6,161. which was much more doable for me. So it was a saving of over £1,500. I was like quite happy with that. So we decided, yeah, we're gonna go ahead with that. Obviously that doesn't include our dishwasher, which we purchased separately from AO.com. So from the point when we ordered and paid Howdens from the kitchen, for the kitchen, it was pretty quick to go from order to delivery. I think it was something like 2 weeks. We had a problem with a fitter who first came along to do some work on our kitchen. I'm not going to go into all of that, but we then had a gap of like basically 3 months of waiting for someone else to come in and fix what had been done wrong by the previous fitter and put it all right and put it in place what you now see here. So we had 3 months basically of living with this half-made kitchen. We had bits of wood balanced on top of cabinets to use as a surface. We didn't have a kitchen sink or a tap, no running water in the kitchen. We did have a dishwasher, but it was all a bit of a challenge. It's one of those things now where, like, you know, it's behind us, so it's fine, but at the time it was a tad stressful. So once the fitters who came in and ultimately finished the project were in, I think it's been about 4 weeks from when they started to having the tiles done. So the thing that sort of lengthens it out a bit is that we have a quartz work surface, and Howdens did that for us. The cost of the quartz, just to break it down for you a bit, as part of the overall price, so the cost of the quartz in the end was £2,211. So that really does add a lot. And this is somewhere where you can make big savings actually. If I'd have gone for, like, say, a laminate surface, compact laminate surface, it would have been significantly cheaper. But I felt that I could afford the quartz, and it is beautiful. It looks great, and I am really, really pleased with it. But it's an opportunity for savings. There are some lovely, lovely laminate surfaces out there that look amazing. So we had Howdens do the quartz surface, and the process of that is actually, like, surprisingly, like, it takes like 3 weeks basically. So from when you phone Howdens and say our kitchen is ready to be measured, and Howdens can't come in and measure the kitchen until all the cabinets are in place, and like our undermount sink was cradled, and there had to be no tiles on the wall, so they couldn't come in until a certain point. So it takes 7 days from when you phone Howdens saying I'm ready for this appointment for them to come and measure. Then they come in and measure. If there are any problems at all when they come to measure the surface, unfortunately they will charge you for the appointment. So you really want to make sure that your fitter has gone through the checklist to make sure that your kitchen is totally ready for the surface to be measured. And then once the surface was measured and we'd agreed on how that was, what that design was, it was then 2 weeks to delivery and fitting. And I should just add that that cost for our surface, that £2,200, that includes the fitting and the measuring as well. So just to talk you through what we have actually got in this kitchen. So it's a quartz white marble surface, that's from Howdens. We've got an undermount sink, that is a Howdens Lamona sink. It is beautiful, I absolutely love it. We looked at the Howdens own taps. Unfortunately, they didn't have the sort of brushed chrome look that I wanted with a filter tap as well. They just didn't have it in their range. So I ordered that from, I think it's Franke, it's a Franke tap, that one. They are not cheap, but it is a absolutely lovely tap and I am really pleased with that. So we then over here have our integrated dishwasher, which is a Bosch dishwasher from AO.com. That is absolutely lovely. Our tiles were from Porcelain Superstore. They are a matte finish. I didn't want a shiny finish. And then we got a local person in who specialises in tiling to do it. In terms of the grout, we could have colour matched to the cabinets, but I wanted it to be ever so slightly darker. And I actually really love that look. I think it's really cool. Really love that. We've got the Extractor fan up there, which has got some lights in it as well. Just adds a bit of illumination under there. Obviously the oven, that was here originally, so we haven't changed that. Our plug sockets came from Dowsing and Reynolds, and we decided as part of the project to add a USB plug socket in here. We just thought that might be quite handy. So that was an additional one. And another minor thing we did with the electrics was that we just had a plug socket here before, but we added a plug socket in the corner because we found that we were putting the kettle here with a long cable trailing and it was a bit annoying, and this just sort of tucks the kettle away into the corner. Now obviously we could have got a boiling water tap, and I did think about it, and that would have meant no kettle at all. But one, they're very expensive. Two, they take up a lot of space in the cupboard underneath the sink, and we don't have a huge amount of space there as it is. So if you look over here, what we've got here is a water softener, and the water softener basically just takes up that whole cabinet. And then, you know, I've got a few cleaning bits and bobs under there. It's quite important to have that storage space, so I wanted to keep that. As you can see as well, we've got some nice soft close hinges there, which I really love. Definitely go for soft close hinges, guys. 100%, you won't regret that. So our cabinets, the colour we went for was the Dove Grey, which is a super popular colour for Howdens. And this is a Chelford cabinet. I think this is about mid-range in terms of price for Howdens, so you could go a little bit cheaper, you could go a little bit more expensive. I'm personally really happy with how sturdy they are. They're really good. They feel nice and solid, and I think they look great, and I do love the colour. When you see it next to white, it contrasts a lot more. In certain pictures, I found that the Dove Grey almost looked like too pale, but when you look at it actually close up in the room, you can definitely see the contrast. You can definitely see that it's grey, and it is really beautiful. And I love the colour, the colour contrast that we've got with the tiles. I think it looks really cool. So to sum up, what do we think of our Howdens kitchen? My experience with Howdens has been really positive. Every single member of staff that I dealt with in our local branch was really polite, went out of their way to help us, particularly when we had problems with our first kitchen fitter. There were some things that needed replacing, and they did that for us. They were super duper helpful, super duper sympathetic. They were always available for me to speak to. Can't praise the customer service enough. In terms of the actual quality of the kitchen, I absolutely think it looks fantastic. The quartz surface looks totally stunning. It's been fitted in beautifully. I love the cabinet doors. This Chelford dove grey just looks really, really beautiful. I'm so happy with the handles. I would just add they have got a really, really great selection of handles there. Obviously you don't have to go with Howdens handles. You know, the cupboard doors don't come with the handles on. You could pick something else. You could go for handleless doors, of course. But yeah, the quality is really, really good, and I would say that it does present value for money. Obviously you could go, you know, another route. You know, Howdens, you're ordering set size cupboards and cabinets. You could go for something that is more custom made. You could go for cupboard doors where you can customize the color. Obviously with Howdens you are limited by the colors that they offer. So I think in terms of, like, say for example you wanted grey, I think there's like this grey and then there's a much darker grey. There's a big leap. There's not really anything in between, and you know, you may have a very specific colour in mind, and Howdens doesn't have every single colour of the rainbow. It has a really lovely selection of colours, but if you wanted to go down the route of having a customised colour, then that may be something to think about. And if you're really, really specific about getting the layout in a particular way, then a kitchen that's custom built, that just may be something for you to consider. Then of course you can go more budget, say with buying your cabinets and things from IKEA, for example. I personally have found that the Howdens stuff is really good value for money. I'm really, really pleased with the end result. If I were to do a kitchen again, and I'm certainly not going to be doing one anytime soon because it is quite an upheaval to have a new kitchen put in. However, if I were to do it again, I would definitely use Howdens again. They have been really, really good, and I am really, really pleased with the final result. Okay guys, I really, really hope that you enjoyed this review of our Howdens kitchen. Let me know if you have any questions about it at all in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. Anything about the process or the costings or any other questions about what we thought about using Howdens, I'm happy to answer those. Thank you so much for watching this video guys, and I will see you on the next upload. Bye!